What's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to be showing you guys a build order for French 2 town centers with the School of Cavalry. And it's a pretty standard build order, but I'm just going to give you my perspective on it. And I'm also going to be showing you how to get value out of your early knights. Like, even if your opponent already has spears when you show up at their base, or whatever. So, yeah, just going to give you my input on that. So this build order is very simple. So I'm going to be fast forwarding a bit at the beginning. You're just going to go 8 on, we're going 1 scout opening, so make villagers right away. We're going to go 8 on food, and then 4 on gold. And then we'll go to 2 on wood. And everything else will go to food for a minute. And yeah, once we get to Feudal Age, we'll talk more about where we go from there. So the point of the build is to get 2 knights right away, the second night you hit Feudal Age, and try to do some damage and force some idle time in your opponent's base with those 2 knights, and then go for a second town center behind it. You want to bring sheep back within the first 2 minutes as French to your town center, because you make villagers faster and you'll be going through your first 3 sheep pretty quickly. The French bonus is to make villagers faster, so the villagers train at 18 seconds in the Dark Age, and it gets faster as the game goes on marginally. So, yeah, this is one of the advantages of the French, is just making villagers faster. And a good way to increase that, is to have a second town center, right? So, first villager that goes to wood will build a lumber camp. Send 1 more villager to wood. And that's all we're going to need on wood for now, because the goal is to have enough resources for the first night immediately, right? So at this point, you want to be bringing back sheep. You want to have scouted your entire side of the map and bring back the sheep, and then you want to go scout your opponent's gold and where you're going to attack first with your first night. So everything is going on to food right now. And now we're going to build, before we build a house or anything, we're going to build the mill on the berries. This is so that we can get wheelbarrow. So you're actually going to have enough gold for 2 knights and wheelbarrow, and then we'll pull off the gold. So when we hit Feudal Age, you'll actually need to, you might need to force drop off some food under your town center, so that you have enough food for the night. Because knights cost 140 food and 100 gold. But I've already queued wheelbarrow here, and we're about to be able to make the house. On 18 population, so still plenty of time not getting housed. Just make the house with one of your wood villagers. Don't use a food villager, or you'll be affecting your food income and may possibly delaying your night, which is not what you want. Now, if you're having to respond to a tower rush from Mongols or something, or aggression from Ottomans, you will have to pull off the gold, and you may only be able to get 1 knight, and that is okay. Just go for more wood and go for an archery range. But, yeah, this build is assuming, yeah, that's not happening, so. And see, I'm going to force drop off some food, and that villager gets a little crazy, and then I'll make the knight. And, yeah, it could be even faster, probably, but it's good timing. And, now we're going to just try to get the resources for the second night. You see, I'll overgather the gold a little bit, because I only need 100 gold. I end up with 120, but that's okay. And this is where I want to pause and talk for a second about, like... So, like, it's way more important to keep your first knights alive. And get some delays with them, but also just keep them alive, because your knights heal, right, when you get chivalry. So you never want to lose a knight as French. Every time that you lose a knight in almost any fight, it's an opportunity to have microed better and pulled back the low health knights. So you're obviously going to lose knights, right? It's going to happen. Nobody's perfect. You're not a pro. But the point of all this is that I'm saying, like, if you overgather your gold, or if you overgather the stone for the TC a little bit, or the wood, because you're doing damage with your knights and you're microing that, that's okay. It's more valuable to be like delaying your opponent. So now obviously you don't want to overgather the stone, but don't beat yourself up about it. It's just something that comes with time. I overgather the stone all the time because I'm microing my knights. But if you get 5 villager kills, who cares, right? Who cares if you gather a little bit too much stone? If you make your opponent cancel a TC, who cares if you get too much stone, right? But yeah, that's just something I can improve on. That's why I recorded this build order against an AI, so that we could do it perfectly, so you guys could see it perfectly. So anyways, the first knight's coming in, and my scout's in position. I see that this is where his exposed villagers are, right? So this is an AI, right? So I just get a kill for free or whatever. But especially against English, right? With the villagers retreat towards the town center, you don't need to chase them. Those villagers walking back and forth, that is damage that you're doing, right? The villagers wanted to be gathering the stone, and they're not. They had to retreat. You are doing damage. So you do not need to risk your knight diving under the TC to get the kill. It's better to just stay back and keep your knight alive and not take damage, so that your knight can continue to do eco damage. Big mistake that lots of players make is, you know, diving TCs or putting their knights at risk just to get a villager kill, like running it into spears. It's better to keep your knights alive. It's way better to keep your knights alive. So, now if you kill 5 villagers and lose 1 knight, that's worth it, right? But if you kill 1 villager and lose a knight, if you kill 2 villagers and lose a knight, it gets kind of iffy. So, better to always keep your knight alive, and it can get more kills later. Like if it keeps its health, you can just keep forcing idle time, which is really big. So what I didn't talk about that was happening is after I made the knight, my second knight, which it's already spawned now, so this already happened as soon as I queued the second knight, and yeah, I was more focused on what's happening down here, so I'm sorry. What I did was go down to only 5 villagers on food, and I pulled all of these food villagers to stone and gold. So I went from 14 on food down to 5, and I now have 9 on wood and 9 on stone because we're gathering for the TC. So all you're trying to do is build the 2 knights and then start gathering for the TC. And I showed you when we pulled the gold fills earlier to stone. But yeah, so it's really important to go down to low amount of food fills. We don't need food to we don't need to build another knight right now or anything like that. Like, we just want to gather the resources for the town center. So one thing that you can do that I like to do a lot, and I mean, I don't need to do anything against the AI, so I am going to show you guys a couple live examples of what I do with my early knights. But you can take this knight and rotate around and look for where he might be moving out, like for example here or to another wood line or whatever, and try to harass there, and then you can have your first knight show back up at the gold or the first place that you attacked, because there's a good chance that your opponent's spears will be trying to track this first knight, and if you run your first knight around and you attack over here, he's going to send his spears here, and then your second knight will show up and there will be no spears on the gold or the stone or whatever. So just something to think about. And to make sure that you don't overgather the stone, what you do is you click on the stone. So the second that it hits 850, you have your 350 stone for the town center. And we're not going to focus anymore on these knights. It's AI. We're not going to learn anything from that. I'll talk more about how to do damage with your knights later on. We're just going to look at the build order. So you see, I gathered 3 extra stone, whatever. And we're going to move out for the deer pack. you can just take all of the stone villas to build the town center and leave the villagers you have on wood, and you'll have enough by the time you get out here. So now we've gone up to 12 villagers on wood. I'm not going to send any more to wood. I'm going to start going to gold now so we can make knights and get upgrades. And there's the 400 wood, and we can build the town center. Now, one mistake I made even in this this game against AI is once you're going for the deer, you should go ahead and get the survival techniques upgrade. I think I forgot that upgrade till much later, which is unfortunate. But that's what I was going to talk about next. In general, as French, you want to be getting all your economic upgrades in the feudal age because, yeah, you get them cheaper. It's one of the French civ bonuses. So after, you know, a lot of the times I'll pull my 2 knights even to defend this if I need to. But you just need to be scouting and see what your opponent has on the field, right? Like if you're playing against heavy early aggression, you might need to defend this. You might want to get an archery range before this, before you move out for your TC if it's really necessary. So that's just going to be a game-by-game kind of basis, and you have to scout. So with this build, you can do 2 things from here. You can go into heavy feudal aggression, which would be, you know, drop like 2 or 3 archery ranges, and a barracks, and another stable, a blacksmith, and go for a ram push. But one way that I really like to play, especially if I get good value out of my early knights, is just to kind of go for castle and keep harassing with knights. So that's what I'll be showing you guys here. I'm just going to make a couple archers and some more military buildings, but I'm going to eco towards castle. And yeah, if you keep your opponent distracted with knights in their base, like, you can easily get away with a fast castle age timing here. And it just depends on how the game is going, right? Like, if you're playing against Ottomans or something like that, that is trying to feudal, and you need to make units in feudal, right? But this build is just assuming that you've done damage with your knights and you're able to kind of keep your opponent in their base. And so we can take one way to take advantage of that is just by going castle. I do go ahead and get chivalry here before making more knights, and it probably would technically be more valuable to make more knights here, but I just wanted to go ahead and get the upgrade out of the way so that my knights would be healing, and yeah, you just don't want to lose your knights. And anytime your knights get too low health, you can pull them back. Like, in a real game, I wouldn't have pulled this knight back yet. I would still be trying to use it because it still has a decent amount of health. The AI actually pushed me here, which is kind of funny. I didn't even think about the AI maybe doing a counter push. And I think maybe even I lose a villager, which is awesome. But, yeah, I mean, this will be easily cleaned up by, you know, by knights. So we're just macroing for castle now. I'll go to like 10 or 11 villagers on gold, and almost everything else is going to food. I have 9 on wood as well. That's just so I can produce a few archers. And yeah, the AI shows up, and I was just like, wow, really? So, but I'm able to just clean this up pretty easily. Anyways, yeah, we're just macroing the castle, so everything's really just going to, it was just going mostly to food, and I do queue a few more villagers to wood here so I can produce a few more archers. So we've got 24 or 25 on food now, 12 on wood, and it says 7 on gold. It's really more like 8 now because I have one building a house, one building a tower. I just towered the gold as French because the gold is really important, so I just went ahead and threw that down as an example for you guys. Obviously, I don't necessarily need the tower, but yeah, I think it's a good thing to have. So, one thing I haven't talked about yet is the way you build your military buildings. So, this is something I forget to do in live games a lot, and it's something I need to get better at, and if you guys forget this, it's okay, but it's really important, actually. So, building my military buildings kind of in a circle around this spot, right? And you want to leave room in the middle for a keep, because the French keeps reduce the cost of your units, and it's actually really strong. So we are building our military buildings in kind of like a square around where the keep will go. So yeah, just important to remember, but if you forget to do it in your games, that's okay. Like it's where it's more important to focus on just the basic aspects of the game and improving, using your military and scouting your opponent and all of those kinds of things are way more important than this. But yeah, this is pretty important, so it's good to practice it. So yeah, we're already aging up. I forgot to mention that, but in this game, I build the Royal Institute. Um, And if you build the Royal Institute, you're kind of going for a Castle Age all-in, and you'll be going for the Royal Bloodlines upgrade on your knights, which is an insane upgrade that gives your knights a stupid amount of health, like 500. And it's really strong. So yeah, you're kind of going for a Castle Age all-in if you go for the Institute. The other option is the Guild Hall, which is actually a really strong um, economy type landmark. So what it does is it lets you like pick a resource and it stacks up an amount of that resource. It's kind of like getting interest. Like the higher the amount gets, the more you're getting. But then once you claim it, it resets to 0, and you can change the resource as well. So it's a really useful landmark. I would go for that sometimes if I think the game might go wrong, or if I want to play a longer game where I take full control of the map and starve out my opponent and go to Imperial Age, I might go for Guildhall. I do use the landmark pretty often, but I also use the Royal Institute pretty often, so yeah. And this game we'll be using the Royal Institute. And before Castle Age even finishes, I'm already sending villagers to stone, and then I pull some more villagers from the landmark to go to stone. That's because we want to be dropping our first keep right away to reduce the cost of our units. And then we want to be going for a second keep right away to be aggressive. So you can also be going for the relics right now, and yeah, lots of things you can be doing. Um, but that's kind of really it. There's not much more to show you. Like from here, I'm just going to mine a stone, drop a keep here, then I'll mine out this stone until I have enough for a keep, drop it here, and attack the AI. I think this is an easier way to kill your opponent than to go for a feudal all-in. And like I said, this only works if you're keeping your opponent in their base, um, kind of keeping them on edge if you're doing damage. Like, you don't want to go for this fast castle play unless you know you can pull it off, and that might take some experience and getting good at scouting. So if you want to go for the feudal all-in, that's fine as well. But at this point, I'm going to go ahead and exit the game and show you guys from a live match, just kind of like how I use my knights to do damage, even when I'm not getting villager kills. I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Oh, I was just going to talk about the Imperial Age landmarks. The College of Artillery, if you go Imperial Age, is a lot better. Um, you'll get culverins from the College of Artillery. And Royal Cannons, and it's just the stronger landmark. The Red Palace is, it's okay. It gives your keeps, like arbaletrier shots, which by the way you should be going for arbaletrier in Castle Age with your knights, as your main unit comp. But yeah, it's just not as good as the College of Artillery, because the College of Artillery gives you access to culverins, and French actually don't make the culverins from the regular siege workshops, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, it's just better, and also pretty sure it reduces the cost. What exactly does that landmark do? Let's look at it together, guys, real quick. French landmarks, College of Artillery. not read about it. Produces royal artillery. Yeah, they do 30% more damage. Okay, that's what it is. And you get an ability for your cannons. It also researches the technologies for your siege 50% faster. But yeah, you get the Royal Culverin and the Royal Cannon. They're just really strong siege units. The Red Palace is just a keep, and it's a really insane keep, to be honest. Situations which I'd go for the Red Palace is if you're just like defending Sacred Site victory, maybe, like on French Pass or King of the Hill. But most of the time, College of Artillery is the move. If you're going for Imperial Age, I do think French is not the strongest in the late game, so it's good to end your games in early castle. French has a really strong castle age. French also has a really strong feudal age. Like, you guys can play the extended feudal and all in as well. It's a very strong option, and like I said, you would do the same early game build order. Just put more villagers on wood so that you can have more production, more archers, more spears. But yeah, I'm going to show you guys a live example of how I use my knights to go for the castle age, or just use them to do damage in general. So this was a quick match I played yesterday, but it is a high-ranked opponent. He's also in Diamond 2 or something, similar to me, and I've played against him a lot. He's beat me plenty of times, so he just makes a very critical mistake, and I'm able to do a lot of damage with my knights because of it. So this is a build order that English is going for a lot this season, which is a super early second TC. And even at the diamond level, my opponent has decided to try and go for it without making a barracks, which is his mistake. So, look at how much damage my knights do without doing any actual damage, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Here comes the first knight. Slow it down. And this is why the English build is so strong. He's already got the stone for his town center, and he's moving out for this wood line. This was a mistake. I think if he wanted to go for a naked TC without a barracks, he needed to be on this wood line 100%, which is in range of his TC. So this is a mistake, but also just not making the barracks I think was a mistake. You should always make a barracks against French before the TC. But anyways, my knight's coming in, and I don't see anywhere, to do any damage. There's nothing here. And my scout was low HP, so unfortunately was not able to get me too much info. And I'm looking on this side to see if he's back on the gold. There's nothing here. And look at that. He's trying to build the TC out on the wood line, and just the threat of my knight. He knows where my knight is. He's scouting it. Just the threat of my knight running back around this way. Never mind. I'll cancel the TC. That is a lot of wasted time. Just to walk out here with this many villagers and then have to cancel. Now, he wasn't building it for very long, but it's damage done in multiple ways. Like, the walk time for the villagers is not good, but also his town center is not securing him anything, really. It's protecting this small wood line and kind of protecting the gold. Ideally, English would have wanted the TC to go here, I would say. And if he had made spears, he could have got his TC here. But he didn't make spears, and my knight's doing damage without actually attacking a villager. So, from here, I already knew I'm in a good spot. Like, I just know it. And I'm just circling, looking for anywhere, and look, all his villagers can't go anywhere. He still doesn't have a barracks, he still doesn't have spearmen. He can't move out for any resources that are exposed right now. So, I'm going to fast forward a good bit, because I want to show you later how I distract my opponent with the knights, even when he has an army. And I overgathered stone by a good bit here. I meant to actually get 50 extra so that I could build a tower with arrow slits, and I got another 50 extra on top of that. And I overgathered wood by a lot here, and yeah, it's okay though. We'll make the corrections to the economy and just go from there. So I'm putting my TC on the deer. The more important thing is how much damage I've done with my two knights, and I didn't lose them. I still have them. They've barely taken damage. I did lose my scout because the stupid villager sniped it. But everything is looking good here for me. And this map is kind of weird, but I think it's still like a good example of, you know, how to use your knights to distract. So the other thing I want to show you guys is right as I'm going to Castle Age and getting ready to build my first keep. So I see that he's massing spears, and I make a few archers, but I keep, like, the big thing I'm noticing is that he's just playing defensive. This happens a lot, guys. When you're playing French, your opponent might just start playing defensive, even though they don't necessarily need to. Like, right now, the military count is 15 to 5, and he could maybe come up here and take the hill, but he's just nervous because of knights. I only have the same knights I built at the beginning. I actually lost one of those knights. I forgot. I lost one of those knights at one point, so I'm down to one knight, and I'm about to build a second one, but he's still just sitting in his base, just nervous. And this is the effect that French has, and the early knights have, even on higher level players. So I'm already going castle behind this, just like I showed you guys with the build order. I'm walling up, because he's just not doing anything, so I can take the whole map. And I'm mining the stone for the keep, which is extremely important on this map. Now, I don't end up... See, I'm kind of, this is not a good spawn for placing my first keep with the military buildings, because there's a freaking wood line in the middle. But it's okay, because on this map, you want your first keep to just go here. And, yeah, that's what I end up doing. So, this is what I wanted to show y'all real quick. He has a big army. He could move out right now, especially knowing that I just hit Castle Age and take the hill. And it looks like he thinks about doing that. But I just have one knight coming to try and get into the base. And his whole army turns around. And, guys, if people are making this mistake at the Diamond 2 level, they're going to make it at your levels as well, like at lower levels if you are in lower leagues. I mean, he's pulling his whole army to try and kill my one knight. And I see this whole army, and I know that I really don't want this army up on the hill. I want to get my keep down. So I just start running the knight around. Right? Why not? If this one knight dies, but I'm able to get up my keep, then it's so worth it. And so at this point, I'll just turn around, right? And he just overcommits with way too many units to chase this knight. You'll see the army turns around again. He really wants to trap this knight. But it's pretty hard to trap a knight. They're way faster than your static army comp, if you're on spears and longbows. And at this point, I'm building the keep. All I want is for this army to stay away as long as possible for me to get the keep up. And I'm literally, I'm just getting so much value out of this one knight. It hasn't killed anything. It hasn't done any damage. But I'm getting my keep up for free. So these are the kinds of things that you can do with French knights besides just raiding. And then now I want to fast forward to the end of the game, because this is how a lot of your games will end with French. And it's not ending how you think. It's not just a defense on the hill. This is the kind of thing you can do on any map, any situation. So I'm building multiple keeps because this map is stupid. And yeah, this is how you play this map. You just take the hill and hold the hill with the sacred site and just win the game. So he's already in a bad position not having the hill. And he's having to do a siege push. But this is the kicker, right, with French, is if you take a fight, if you're taking a big fight in the middle and you have keeps to defend your army, you can just pull 5 knights to go raid in the base. And do game-ending, like literally do game-ending damage if your opponent's not ready for it. So this is all important, and I would like to snipe these with my Springolds. But what happens up here is not nearly as important as what's going to happen down here. Now, I could have just ran the knights past this wall, which is funny. I should have done that, probably. But I end up burning the wall down here. And I'm more focused on the middle at this moment in time. Um, this is what's happening here. I'm repairing the keep with villagers, getting relics. I've already got the sacred site timer ticking, but these knights are about to burn the wall. And the second that they burn the wall and get in, they just start doing massive amounts of damage. My opponent's whole army is up here. He desperately has to break into this, right? He has to. And the amount of damage I do with these knights in the base is just kind of stupid. I don't even, like, the knights don't even have royal bloodlines yet. I could have already bought that and I hadn't, so big mistake from me. But I'm focused on micro and the middle and all of that. But just look at the villager count. He just dropped 30 vills from like 8 knight raids in the base while we're fighting in the middle at the same time. So this is... And he just forfeits after that. Like, after he sees how many vills he lost, bam, just forfeits. So this is the strength of French. This is how you can use your knights. There's lots more to it. Like, you know, you like the early game, like your first knights, getting value out of them. There's lots more to it, but it's really just going to come with practice. Just avoid the spears. Like, if you can do things like get the spears to chase your scout instead of the knights, that's big. Um, just there's so many little things that you can do with the micro, right? And that's why French is kind of considered a micro civ. But yeah, just keeping your knights alive is super important. Like, if you get a knight down to, like, you know, a few HP and you pull it back and it heals all the way to full, that's basically like a new knight for free, right? I mean, and you paid for the chivalry upgrade, but it's super important to keep your knights alive. I can't stress that. So, yep. That's gonna be it for my French 2TC build order and strategy guide. I hope you guys learned a little bit about how to get value out of your knights, even if your opponent already has spears or, um, you know, is doesn't have any exposed villagers. You can always get value out of your knights by forcing idle time, by, uh, you know, just by the intimidation factor alone of your opponent is scared to move out on the map. So that's going to be it for the French guide. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what kind of guides you want to see in the future. Thanks for watching.